Great morning! Welcome to Monday Morning Motivation, Triple M. I'm in state. I'm ready to get it off a great weekend of Unleash Your Power Within with Tony Robbins. 50 straight hours of transformation, focus, emotions, new knowledge nuggets. It was amazing. And it's hard to put into words what it felt like. So I won't really cheat you guys right now. You got to go check it out. Most, Roxy and I have ever paid for an event, but the most valuable 50 hours I've ever spent. So it was an amazing time, so excited. And, of course, we had to bring the man, the homie Tony. Homie Tony. That's what we're going to call him. That's the homie Tony. So he's going to be on Triple M this morning, and he's going to be talking about today what fear can do to you in your life. This was a big part of the seminar this weekend. It's like, have you ever just sat down and really thought about what fear is, Have you thought about its implications in you believing it's real? Have you thought about what you lost out on, what you missed out on, what could have been because you let fear control you, or you didn't face fear, or maybe you weren't even aware it was fear? Today we grow our awareness of what fear is doing. We face it. We build the muscle to conquer it. Today it's going down. I'm up here with Roxy. She put on the shirt to match me.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. But we're still cute. So it's going down. Call your friends, text your family. Get them on the call. We're just getting started. We're going to do the video first. Then we're going to do some shares from Roxy and I, and then from the call-in line. Call-in line, drink your tea, get ready. It's going down. We're getting started. Without further ado, here's my man Tony, the homie Tony.
What they got and kind of hope it'll change and maybe purchase something for the moment and then not follow through on it. It's almost like people, overachievers, have a little more fear. They're a little more afraid of missing out. They're afraid of not being there, or they got a strong enough reason to follow through. So I'd say, if you're looking at home, you want to give somebody some value, go, where do I start? I'm sick of this. That's a damn good place. That's probably why they bought the product in the first place, but now they're not
from that for just a minute.
What's that?
They bought the product to escape from that state.
Just for a moment.
Yeah.
So guess what? What makes people excited is progress. You don't have to be at the goal yet to feel alive again. You have to make progress. And the first step to progress and make a decision and buying the product. But then they don't do the second step, which is open the damn thing up.
I think another powerful distinction that you're hitting on here is the fact that a lot of people that have breakthroughs in their lives, like including Frank and I both in different, success stories, situations, whatever you want to call them, is that, people typically hit rock bottom before that must is a reality.
You're right.
So in thinking of that, because a lot of things as well, like we hear in marketing, like if you had a gun to your head right now and you had to make money in the next, 48 hours, what would you do? And that really resonates with people. But so I just wanted to bring this into the conversation because I think a big part of the market of all these people aren't people that have their backs completely against the wall yet.
That's right.
Okay, so they're not in a must situation yet. They're in a desire situation where they're okay in their lives. They do have big dreams and ambitions. They do want greater things. But it's not pushing them yet to the point where they will do what it takes
to master
something. So what do you think? How do people go from not having their backs against the wall when they have no choice to say, I'm totally sick of this, to conditioning their minds to go from their situation where they are, which may be okay, to getting something greater?
Well, you'll think about this. What pisses you off and what excites you is all relative. $300 a week, no, $2,500 excites him more, that memory to this day, than even the $1 million, he did in his first 24-hour version, right? Or you breaking the 4 minute mile, $1 million, that must have been out of your mind. Tell me about that for a second. What did that feel like? You make $1 million in 24 hours, nobody in history of the internet's done it.
Euphoria.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
What was
It wasn't even about the money.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It wasn't really about the money.
No, it
I
wasn't.
wasn't thinking like, that's how many cars I can buy. It just wasn't. It was just... it was just breaking through like another barrier of progress.
So at that point, it wasn't about your back to your wall. At that point, what it was really about...
It was a further point for my fear, is what it really was.
Further point for your fear, and for some people, and I think in some cases, it's also a recognition of who I am and what I'm capable of. So for somebody whose life is already great, this is about, what if I could take on another skill that could create more freedom for my life? And just saying, I'm not having to go out and try and do it all perfectly right now. What I'm going to do for the next 8 weeks, I'm going to create a little ritual. I'm going to do one thing a day to condition my mind, right? So that I get strong, so I follow through. I'm going to read something. I'm going to listen to something. I'm going to immerse myself. I'm going to go for an intense jog, or I'm going to go lift weights, but I'm going to do it consciously to get in a state where I'm going to follow through. That's number one, because people follow through when they're in state. Second, I'm going to get clear about why this is a must for me. It's not because my back's against the wall, but because I want to master an area of life that could create some freedom. I'm not going to master it overnight, but I got the system, I got the plan. I'm going to do one thing a day. I'm going to work on one subject a week. This week's going to be about figuring out what the right product or industry is. Next week's going to be basics of building traffic. And each week I'm going to make a little progress, and I'm going to get to a goal, whatever that is. I'm going to make $1,000, my $300 in a week. I'm going to get to my $2,500. That first $2,500 is the most excited.
Unbelievable.
The first $300. I remember
It's the most life-changing, too.
It is the most life-changing. I remember I was supposed to be a truck driver, making $24,000 a year because I'd be making the most anybody in my family had ever made.
How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, real well. Thank God I'm not driving a truck, right?
I think you could
So
pull the truck.
I figured out I could pull it with my finger, man. I could do it with my teeth. I could pull it with my teeth, right? 36 grand a year was the goal. If I could make $3 grand in a month. When I did that, I was out of my mind. And then it was like, could I make 10 grand a month? Then it was 10 grand in a day, then 100 grand a day. Then could I make $1 million in a day? I had a day where I made $400 million in a day. The stock value of the company I took public, my personal stock.
But it was probably after I did it, though, so it doesn't really count. I'm just joking.
You're right.
People don't remember who's first, Tony. 400 million, $1 million?
Yeah, who cares? Who cares?
No,
I'm not saying
that's
it's brag.
amazing, though.
I'm not saying
No,
brag.
of
It's
course.
because they told me when I was on stage, I had this audience of about 15,000 people at the Continental Center. It was during a stretch break. I was doing what I loved, rocking the house. Everybody's going crazy. And they go, the stock's worth $400 million right now. It's like, wow, that's cool. It's like, okay, that's, I don't want to sound stupid. It's like, what's next? And I went right back to what I loved. Once you break through, then it just becomes a game. The people that are getting your products have not yet broken through in most cases. The breakthrough happens by conditioning your mind every day, by feeding it a role model or story. It's putting yourself in a peak state when you follow through by getting physically strong. It's creating a little ritual of doing a little bit each day, and then you get momentum. But the most important thing of all is what we started out with. Why?
Absolutely.
Why is it a must for you? It doesn't have to be you're against the wall, but it has to be something you're hungry for, because the only difference in people is hunger. And if you're not hungry, get around people that are hungry and something will hit you. You watch a conversation, you get around people that are doing better, and all of a sudden you start going, my life sucks. I remember I went to a guy in LA. It's one of the most multi-billionaire guy, I'll never forget. And I lived in the Del Mar Castle, and I was really proud. That was like the symbol of me having taken myself from being poor to providing for my family this great place. It's built from castles in Europe overlooking the ocean, not far from you. And I went to this guy's house. He's a billionaire. He took me down to his wine cellar. I don't even drink wine. Went through this whole thing. At the end of the night, I was depressed. I lived in the Del Mar tenement, as far as I was concerned. I really was. I was like, I live in a crappy place, and all my standards changed. All of a sudden, I wasn't willing to settle for living that. All of a sudden, my back was to the wall in a different way, because as a man, I knew I was capable of more. So people can change their standard by getting around where it's better. People can change their standard by getting associated what's true, like the bills they got to solve, the problems they got to do it. Or they can do it because they're excited, because it's something new they want to take on. Everyone's different, but they got to find the why, and they got to come up with some daily rituals to get them going, and just do a step at a time. That's where you get momentum.
Awesome. That is awesome.
So, think about what's the holy grail between somebody taking action or not. It's one word: certainty. When somebody is absolutely certain, the common word is believe, right? But, you can believe at a general level, or you can believe with certain. When you're absolutely certain that if I do this, it's going to get that result, and that result's going to change my life, you'll do it. When you think it absolutely is not going to work, you're never going to do it. The middle no man's land of maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, that's the piece that kills people, right? So if it's a must for you, you got to make it work, right? In our case, right? That's an example. If it's not a must for you and you're not sure, you don't know what to do. So years ago, I'd look around and say, okay, how do people get themselves to follow through that haven't been following through? What's the difference? And I started interviewing hundreds of people, literally, and eventually thousands, because I had thousands of my events. So I'd ask the group to give me their feedback. And I came up with this model. It's like the holy grail of belief, or the holy grail of momentum. It's like the difference between what makes the rich get richer and the poor get poor, right? And the difference we all know is mindset, but like, how's that built? So this is what I did. I created these stupid four little boxes, and I'll scribble it here for you. You think about the first thing that determines whether you can do something or not, and I put that in this first box at the top here on the left side. It's potential. Like, what's the potential of a human being? Like, when you guys started, you proved something no one had done in history. You ran the 4-minute mile, right? For golly knows how many centuries, they're trying to run a 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister does it. How did he do it? Do you remember? You did it in this industry, right? You made $1 million in a day. No one had ever done that in history, right? After you did it, a bunch of other guys are doing it because it became possible. Roger Bannister didn't just go physically practice. He made a shift in his head. He practiced in his head because he could never achieve it physically, so he had to change in his head first so that the result became certain enough he believed it, and then his body got him through. After Roger Bannister ran that 4-minute mile, within 2 years, 37 people ran a 4-minute mile.
Wow.
When no one in history had ever done it. Now, here's how it works. The potential for anybody getting your product is extraordinary. They can do what you've done as much, more or less. They can do whatever they want to do. The potential's there. The market's proven that. Whether or not they tap into that potential has a lot to do with what action they take, which is the question you came to me with, right? Like, God, they all have potential, but they're not taking action. And we all know that the action they take is going to determine the results they get. That's pretty obvious. So most people have a belief about what their real potential is no matter what you tell them. And that affects how much action they take. And of course, that affects the result. And then ironically, that result reinforces their belief. And then that belief affects it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say a person has unlimited potential, we all agree. But they take little action, little results. Why? Because they have to start with a problem with their belief. They don't believe it's really going to happen for me. Maybe for Frank Kearns because he's got the cool hair and stuff, or maybe it's for you because you're so driven, but it's not me. Maybe Tony Robbins because he's a freak, got these big teeth. Whatever their thought process is, right? They got this thing, right? But what happens is, if you believe that there's very little potential, how much action are you going to take? Nothing, little. And when you take little potential with a little action, what kind of results do you get? Lousy little results. And when you get little results, what does that do to your belief? You go, see, I told you this was a waste of time, told you this wouldn't work. And then what happens? You tap even less potential. You take even less action. You get even worse results, and your belief gets even weaker. And this sucker feeds on itself until you are in a downward spiral.
It's poisonous.
It's poisonous and it's self-fulfilling. Now, what if something could happen that could come along and fill you with a sense of absolute certainty? Not like I believe, but mean where you know. In you guys' case, mine as well, we knew because we had to. Because we burned the boats. There was no other option. We had to find a way. We weren't going to live that way. We all did it in different ways and for different reasons, but in essence, that was it. If you get yourself in a state of certainty that this is going to work, I'm going to find a way, and if this doesn't work, I will make the way, then you tap a lot more potential. And when you're certain in your potential, you take massive action. When you take massive action, you really believe in something, you get great results. When you get great results, your brain goes, see, I told you I was a stud. I told you this thing would work out. Now you're even stronger. You tap more potential, take greater action, greater results. That's how you went from $300 in a week to $2,500 in 5 days to $100,000 in a month to $1 million in a day. Same thing with you. And we get momentum. That's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Now some people go out and they go, well, I'm going to take a bunch of action. All right, I'm going to open this product. I'm going to try it. And they'll say to you, I even did it. But it's like a salesman who goes and knocks on the door, and he knocks on 100 doors and says,
You don't want one of these, do you?
yeah, exactly right. And even if he doesn't say it verbally, his face says it because he doesn't believe it's going to work. So his voice, his body, the execution is so weak. Maybe if he talks to 100 people, somebody's going to buy out of pity. They don't want his kids to starve, right? But he's not going to get the result. So the core difference in people is how do you produce certainty when the world isn't giving it to you? You go out, you try. In your case, you're 100,000 in debt, and nothing's working. How do you keep yourself going? The way you did it, the way I did it, the way you're doing it, we may not have done it consciously, is we didn't change our potential. That was there. And it wasn't even taking more action. Taking more action with a belief's not going to work, it's not going to change anything. We got results in our head that made us feel certain as if it had already happened. True or false for you?
True.
All right. So give me an example so people know I'm not just making this crap up.
Well, I mean, just like when I had nothing, I already knew I was driving like Ferraris and Porsches and stuff because I always wanted those cars. I already knew I was going to have them. It was inevitable.
Right.
I inevitably, that was just my inevitable outcome.
But how did you do that? Did you have a ritual? Did you think about it regularly? Was it one time you thought about it, or was it something you had an obsession towards?
I had an obsession towards it. I mean, I used to work at a video store, which was the last job I ever had in my life.
Thank God.
And I used to go to work almost every day, and I used to bring 2 magazines with me to read on my breaks. Entrepreneur magazine, just to read about business and everything else, and read about what other people are doing, look for role models. And I used to carry an Auto Trader with me. And I used to look at Porsches that were for sale.
Yeah.
And people always used to ask me, what are you doing with that Auto Trader magazine? I'm like, well, I'm just picking out the Porsche that I'm going to buy.
Right.
Which
probably got you a lot of crap.
I did. People made fun of me.
Sure.
I actually had a boss at that job tell me, you really shouldn't do that to yourself, John, because it's very, very likely that is never going to happen. That it's very likely that you're never going to have that car.
Yeah.
That's the kind of belief he was trying to put in my head. And I was like, no, you don't realize that it's inevitable
Right.
that I will drive here sometime in the near future with that car when I'm not working for you,
Right.
and drop movies off for you to put back on the shelf. And that actually happened. And it was one of the most
Oh, you're
fulfilling
kidding.
days of my entire life. And the great thing was when I pulled up in this car, I was in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
A car that most mid-20s.
What kind of car was it?
It was a Porsche 911 Turbo. It was
Sure.
a convertible and everything.
Sure.
It was a beautiful car. It was one I always dreamed of having. But, for a few years I always circled the ads of which ones I was going to buy. Well, when I finally got it and I pulled up at the store, I had all these people. Some people that were still working at this $7 an hour job were there years after I left. And I'll never forget this, even the boss and stuff. And the reaction of the people was like, wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Is that your dad's car? And all I said to them was, not exactly.
Good for
And
you.
I just smiled and just left. But it was, it's the weirdest thing, but I just knew it was going to happen.
But you knew it because
I
you
conditioned myself
You
to
did it
to
over and
know
over
it was-
again.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I was not a popular kid, but I was passionate and intense, and I'll never forget. Some people, some particular girls gave me some crap, and the guy too. And I wrote in their journals or their annual yearbook at the end, I wrote, someday, I said, you treated me like hell. Someday I'll be rich and famous, and you'll be an effing truck driver. And you'll be sitting there, I'll be with with this beautiful woman of my life, rich, and you'll be watching me on television thinking, you wish you would have treated me better. I actually wrote this shit in people's annuals because I went to a 10-year high school reunion when the people showed me this
That's
stuff,
great.
right? But it's like, I burned the bridges, baby. I was like, this is how it's going to be. So I'll give you a perfect example of this. They did studies, many have been done at this element, where they want to say, how much does the mind affect performance? So take basketball. I've worked with a lot of NBA players and turned them around, and one of the problems many of them have is they'll choke on the free throw line. Well, everybody knows in that case, if you normally shoot really well and now you're not, something's interfering. Something's getting in front of your state, some uncertainty, right? Obviously. So they take a group and say, we're going to make them better. How do you make somebody better who has got this mental block? So they take a group of guys and they're going to do free throws, and they do one group where they just practice for 6 weeks. Totally intense practice, and I forget the number of free throws, but they got to do this many free throws every day. Take a second group, and they have them not practice at all. Obvious. And they take a third group and they don't let them touch a basketball. All they do is have them practice in their mind, but the key is, it's not practice makes perfect, it's perfect practice makes perfect, as corny as that sounds. So these guys see themselves making the shot every single time, conditioning their mind and body that it's perfect every time. They're not interrupted by a reality that would screw with them. So at the end of 6 weeks, they tally it up, and now they give them a test to see who has the highest free throw percentage, success. What do you guess it's going to be? Well, the obvious person says, obviously, it's not the guys that didn't practice, but which one is it? The mind, or is it the ones that actually practice?
I'm assuming the mind.
Yeah, you would assume it because it's true.
Right.
You intuitively know the truth. That practicing's not enough. It's getting yourself so certain so many times that now when you go to do it, there's no hesitancy and you execute. It's having that absolute certainty that makes you tap your full potential, take massive action, get massive results, be reinforced to having stronger belief. This is what makes somebody a star at anything.
Whoa, man. That was powerful. All right, let's get it. Roxy, you're up first.
What's up, you guys? So, let me see. Let me adjust seating. There we go. Much better. Wow, what a powerful video. For me, it actually, I listened to it different, especially after this weekend. So, awesome video. I really loved, I'm going to go ahead and go by my order of notes. And I loved when he talked about that once you get to the point of, I'm sick of this, that's a good place to be, because that's where breakthroughs happen. And I can easily relate to that. As before I started Herbalife, I remember starting but not fully committing and not fully starting. And then once I did, certain things had to happen for me to be fed up with the way that I was living my life. And I was just like, this is it. I have to change. Things have to change. My life has to change. And that's exactly what happened. But first, I reached that point of, I'm sick of this. I cannot settle for this, because there's something within all of us, I truly believe, that knows that we're capable of much more. So much more. But sometimes we allow whatever emotions and whatever just emotions to rule the way that we live our life, till you're just like, no more. But deep inside of everyone, we all know that we're capable of so much more, but a lot of the times, because of the fear of failure, we don't take any action and we don't have any belief within ourselves. So I really, really love that. I really love what he talked about, conditioning the mind to follow through. You know, like, just think about it. Like, so many people I've seen, and just even if you read, like, let's say people go on a diet, and a lot of the times people will fail, you know, because they correlate going on a diet as painful. And I can't have these things, and therefore it creates pain. So what you're doing is you're programming your subconscious mind to correlate being healthy with pain. But if you start to condition your mind in a different state where things are exciting, and you start to correlate that with pleasure, then you begin to follow through. He said, like, if you start to run, or if you start to go into the gym, like, if you want to create everlasting habits, you have to create this state of mind, and a state where where your subconscious, like, automatically begins to follow through. So I really love that. And then I loved how he talked about mastering areas of your life that will create freedom. You know, don't take it like, oh my God, my whole life has to change. Like, focus on like small things, day to day, every single day, like, or month to month, week to week, whatever works for you. Start seeing what are the areas in your life that you need to grow. And the more that you begin to do that, whether it's in your emotions, whether it's your physical body, whether it's your finances, like, start learning how to master each and every single area. Because once you do, then you start creating this freedom around you and around your life. And now you have total power, as opposed to the outside things having power over you. So I really love it. Love that. And I said, another one that I really loved, how he talked about standards can change when people surround themselves by other people who are more successful. Like Tony Robbins says, he was like, I was already successful. I was living in a castle, and I thought that was it. Like, I thought that was like, I'm living the dream, right? But he's like, but then I surrounded myself by this billionaire, and I go over to his house, and I realize how I can still do much more. So for you, and for like everyone, just ask yourself, like, who am I constantly around with? Are they elevating my standards, or do I have high standards? Am I bringing my standards to a lower standard so they're not, like, affected and they don't feel bad? Like, who are you surrounding yourself with? Because it is true, like, when you surround yourself by people that have higher standards, that have what you want, you start to say, like, I gotta go get that, like, that, like, I want more, you know. So definitely that is key. And then I really loved I don't want to, like, keep going. I really loved how he talked about the potential, the action, and then the results. You know, all of those things will determine the belief that you have. You know, somebody can have a lot of potential, but they may not have the belief, and therefore they're not going into action after, like, optimum capacity of action. So therefore they're getting lousy results, and then they're getting a lousy belief, and then you're constantly, again, reprogramming your mind, your subconscious mind and your mind, saying that you can't do this, you know. So how you do, like, just those little things, you know, like your potential, like, really, where's your belief at? Most of all, and importantly, is it belief with certainty that you can get there, or it's like, oh, maybe I'll get there? Because that will determine the level of action that you take, and then produce the results, and therefore that goes into your full on life. Like, that was just, like, phenomenal. And then the last one that I'm going to leave you guys with, I really loved how he talked about obsession and burning the bridges. Like, this is how it's going to be, like, in your mind. He talked about the basketball players, you know, some of them practice in their mind, some of them practice, like, physically, and the other ones didn't do anything. And the ones who had a greater chance of, like, making the shots were the people that practice in their mind. So constantly also evaluate your mind and see where your mind is at. Is it in a negative state, in a negative future, in a negative present, in a negative past? Or is your mind in a constant positive outlook? Like, are you seeing yourself, like, a year from now, 5 years from now, accomplishing the things that you want? Like, really, really, like, get honed in on that, and then from there begin to obsess about it. Obsess over the things that you want, and it's like, it's a must. Like, it's a done deal in your mind. And when it's a done deal in your mind, you will start taking the action that is required to produce the results that you want.
Let's go. Great takeaways. Love it. So many powerful takeaways. I'm going to tell you guys, I've watched this video. I think we've even done it for Triple M before. But I'm going to tell you guys, you catch different nuggets every time. How many times have you listened to, that song on the radio? You've listened to it thousands of times. And for me, it's like reinforcing, reprogramming. And this time, I've probably seen this video 3 or 4 times. I got completely new information this time. So 3 key topics that really hit me that I want to share on top of what Roxy shared. She has some great ones. Is number 1 is, if your life is already great, find out what makes it a must for you. Yes, we get motivated when our back's against the wall. But like Tony said, he was in the Del Mar Castle and got motivated. Like, hopefully, I wish for you that your whole life you're not up against the wall. But I do wish for you also that you progress your whole life. So if you want to create a life that continuously gets better, you need to figure out how you get motivated so you can continue to motivate yourself even when you're great. How do the greats stay great? How does Jay-Z stay at the top of the game for 20 years? How does Drake continue to come out with hit albums after hit albums? How does Tony Robbins do what he does for 38 years? He's been doing this for longer than Roxy and I have been alive, and he's a monster. How does that happen? He found out how to motivate himself even when he was happy, even when he was fulfilled, even when he was successful. And that was the key. So he said for him, he got around some people that were at another level. He got motivated to take it to the next level. So find out what motivates you. Is it giving more? Is it growing more? Is it doing more? Is it seeing and achieving and experiencing more? Whatever it is, you need to figure out how you're motivated because everybody's motivated differently. And if you don't understand why every time you get successful, you get complacent, you haven't figured out how to motivate yourself, you're only motivated by pain. And when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me because I'm excited to find out how I get motivated and also to figure out how other people get motivated. We've had people get in the best shape of their lives and they just kind of stay complacent. And I'm like, how do we continue to get people motivated about their health results? How do we continue to get people motivated about their lifestyle results? You got to figure out what is your motivator. What is your personal personality with motivation? So I really like that. The next one I really liked was, this was a big nugget right here. He said, perfect practice makes perfect. Not just practice. He said they had people shoot free throws, over and over. And then they had a group that didn't practice. Then they had a group that just did visualizations. If you saw the box, if you could imagine a 4 square, the first square was potential, what's possible. The next square was action. The third square was results. The 4th square is belief. He said the potential is always there. Whether you believe it or not, the potential is there. There's infinite potential. And it's always amazing. You can think about what you want in life and think about if there's somebody on this planet that's done it before. 99% of the times, yes, they have. So that means it's possible. So the potential is all there. Number 2, action. You can take amazing action. And he said, you know what, we're knocking on doors, or I'm calling people, or, Roxy and I probably talked to thousands of people about getting healthy and about changing their lifestyle. Thousands. The action is there. But he said, what most people don't do is they create the results first in their head. This is what you got to get. It's not just about work. It's about smart work. This really hit me right now because I'm like, oh man, sometimes in the past I was like, okay, let's go get more people out. Let's go talk to more people about the nutrition club. Let's go talk to more people about health and wellness. Let's go get more and more. I didn't stop, and this is a big thing from this weekend. This whole weekend was visualization, basically. We standing up, we jumping around, they taking the lights down low, they taking the lights down high. Visualization, I'm like, God, another visualization, and now I get it. It took this video right now for me to get it, which is amazing. But visualization is the key to your success. And I didn't understand that till right now. Why did the guy who used to continuously look at Auto Trader and Entrepreneur Magazine leave the video rental place when he came back years later and people were still there? He conditioned himself with belief by looking at the magazines every day. When I was a kid, I used to look at muscle and fitness magazines every single day, and then I wonder why when I grow up I'm in shape. I conditioned myself to believe. It takes action. You got to do the work. So now for me, it's like every day I wake up, I see President's Team for Us. Every day I wake up, I see Herbalife Nutrition at $10 billion. Every day I wake up, I see obesity rates going down. Every day I wake up, I see poverty going down. Every day I wake up, I see our dream home. And that's the key that most people don't do, because I didn't do it in the past. I was like, let's just work harder. Let's just work harder. Let's do more. Let's do more. That's not all there is to it. He just showed you the free throws didn't work. The free throws didn't work. And don't think doing it once. I did a vision board. I look at the vision board every now. That's not it. You got to sit there and really see it in your mind's eye over and over again. That's the key. Conditioning yourself. How many times did dude look at the Auto Trader? Over and over again. I looked at Muscle and Fitness magazines every freaking week. I was looking at those things. All the people were like, what are you doing? Do you want to be that big? I was like, no, I just want to be fit. I like this stuff. I want to be in shape. I don't like how I'm not in shape right now. And then I grow up, I'm in shape. I condition myself. You got to condition yourself with continuous, perfect practice. That just hit me right now. That was powerful. And then the last part is, you got to create some daily rituals with it. You got to create some intentional daily rituals that at first are going to be tough, but that at the end create your life you want. I sometimes think, it just hit me right now. Why? I think a big part of the reason why getting fit got more popular now, you know why? iPad and iPhone. Because, you know what, back in the day, before all this stuff they had to do to get healthy, and before Walkmans, you were just walking around. Have you ever tried working out without any music? It sucks. I'm sure you probably thought this. You forgot your headphones, you forgot your music one time, and you thought about not even working out. Like maybe this would just be a rest day. Because the music puts you in state, and then when you got in an excited state because the music is pumping your favorite song, now you're working out. You've attached working out to your favorite energy. And now it's like, yo, I can't miss a workout because you don't want to miss your favorite energy. Now, if you use that intentionally, that could change your life. Because you've attached something positive to being active, and now you get more active because you want to be more in that energy. Now your life is better because you're more active. You got to use that intentionally to create rituals in your life around activities that are going to better your life. So, for example, we're telling clients when they drink their shake in the morning, they get their nutrients in the morning, crank up your favorite song. I want them to associate that energy from your favorite song. You got Tupac on. Yo, you live in California, love, and you're drinking your shake. Now you're like, I can't miss my shake in the morning. Because you don't want to miss that energy. You didn't notice how that little ritual could get you the nutrients in the morning that could make you make better decisions throughout the day. Now you ripped up. Now you got energy. The little things, you got to realize these things. And you got to intentionally create them in the future. Now, and then the cool thing is that after a while, just become a habit. After a while, just become a habit. So you got to get this, you guys. Those are such a key one today. I love this video. Gave me more nuggets. Roxy dropped major nuggets. We went over time a little bit. I'm going to give the call-in line 1 second if they had their tea to share one nugget. Does anybody want to share? Name and where you're from. Call-in line nuggets. Where you at?
We got fear.
You got to let the fear go. We just talked about that. All right, you guys.
Oh, there's someone.
Is there somebody? No, that wasn't. All right, you guys. Great work. Now we get to pay it forward. Going to post this video on Facebook when it uploads to YouTube. And if you're on Instagram, you can watch it on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dr. Aubrey Wellness, DrAubrey Wellness, WELLNESS. I got to work on my spelling. I'm fired up right now. So Dr. Aubrey Wellness. And if you're on Instagram, repost the flyer or whatever your biggest visual image of your takeaways are. Don't let this energy stick with you. It grows when you share it. That was a big thing we learned. It grows when you share it. That's why when you get exciting news, you want to tell everybody about it. Because it becomes more when you give it. So give this away, learn more, take your biggest takeaways and share it with somebody else and invite people to be on the call next week. Every Monday we do Triple M. Every Monday we get better. It's about to go down. Have a great one, you guys. Have a great week. We're fired up. Peace out. Where's Roxy at?
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Have a great one, you guys. Peace.